Is everyone having a great time in Singapore? It's just wonderful to be here with all our fellow Rotarians in this vibrant and diverse city. I'm just so excited to be here. But first, before we get started, there's a couple of very important people other than our panelists in the room that I want to introduce. We have Michelle Berg, who's Deputy General Counsel of all of Rotary International. She's one of my many bosses in Rotary, so she's there in the back. And we have a special guest here today, Andrea Krause from Kansas, USA, and she is actually on the Strategic Planning Committee for Rotary International. So Rotary International has a bunch of committees that make recommendations to the directors, and then that's how things get done. So, are there any DGEs in the room? Oh, wow.
30 days, does that count?
In 35 days from today, Chuck, you're right. So, Roger, you're from Green Bay? Wausau, Wisconsin. Stephanie has a series of 3 initiatives for this year. That's our incoming president of Rotary International. Can you tell me what her number 1 initiative is?
Grow membership through implementation of the action plan.
Grow Rotary membership through implementation of the Rotary Action Plan. So who could tell me what the Rotary Action Plan is, other than our panelists? And Bala, because he's already spoke. Bokar, do you know, this is my incoming club president. Bokar, can you tell us what the action plan is? You could ask Andrea if you don't know.
Go ahead, I'm asking you.
Oh. Ask Andrea behind you. What's the action plan?
So it's the 4 priority areas that clubs can use to help increase their membership and strengthen their clubs. They include enhancing participant engagement, also increasing our impact, expanding our reach, and finally adapting our clubs to meet the changes of society and the world around us.
That's perfect. You should be up here.
You read this line.
So the most important thing in 35 days will be growing Rotary membership, because we are a membership organization. You know, there's always that question. Sometimes when they have new board of directors and they ask the question, are we a service organization or are we a membership organization? Well, if you look at the policies, Article 5, it says we are a membership organization, but we do the world's best service. And let's face it, nobody joins a Rotary Club to do nothing. They join to do that service, and for many other reasons. So we're going to be talking about the action plan today. So before we get started, I want to introduce our panelists, and we are so lucky to have these panelists. I am Tom Gump. I'm a PDG out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, District 5950, and I am aide to the incoming Rotary International President, Stephanie Yurchik. So that's why this is an important topic to me. But we have the 2 experts here, other than Andrea. We have Chris Etienne, who's an incoming director-elect from Troy, Michigan, United States. Oh, Petoskey. Oh. Petoskey. And she has been appointed by Stephanie to be the overall global action plan champion. And we also have Megan, and Megan Anderson is actually the director of strategy for Rotary International. So of our staff, she is the head person when it comes to strategic planning. And before we get started, I also want Sarah Stacy to stand up. Sarah is part of Megan's staff, and she's been instrumental in putting together our PowerPoint and helping us go through our practices and drafting a lot of our questions and answers. So who's excited about getting started? So I want to just give you a little bit of history of how we started here. So every 5 years, we come up with an action plan of some sort, a strategic plan. We call it action plan because, of course, we are people of action. And strategic plan just sounds a little bit, makes your eyes glaze over. But Rotary International, there's not just one committee, even though Strategic Plan Committee is a great committee. You can't just have one committee do this. So what did they do? They reached out to 1 million different individuals so they can get these data points. And they had about 75,000 responses to these. Now, who were these questions sent to? They were sent to Rotarians. They were sent to past Rotarians, Rotaractors, We have a new terminology, somewhat new in Rotary, called participants. Who could tell me what you think participant means? Chuck, what's a participant?
Someone that's actively engaged, listening, etc.
Yes. So when the plan was coming together, they could have used the word Rotary member. They could have used the word Rotarians. They could have used the word Rotaractors, but they said participant. Now, Rotary is actually set up now. They have a whole participant engagement department that includes IT and other departments. It's about a $20 million budget or something like that, Michelle. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. But they want to get to the club members and the participants, which is anyone we ever come in contact with. It could be the youth exchange. It could be the host families. It could be the people that we serve in a Rotary Community Corps. So, and it's interesting, when they came back with the answers to this, there were some things that just didn't make sense. Like in Japan, there was a question as to the first draft of this. It said Rotary tries to accomplish the impossible. Well, in that culture, you can't accomplish the impossible. So what we did is we came up with a vision statement. And I absolutely love this vision statement. And this is what it is. Together we, and Rotary is we, together we see a world where people unite to take action, to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. So that's what Rotary is trying to reach. But how do we reach it? Well, Andrea gave us the answer. We reach it through these 4 strategic plan priorities. We try to increase our impact, and you're going to hear more detail about this, but that's measurement of everything we do. We try to expand our reach. We try to enhance participant engagement, and we try to adapt. So I'm going to ask the first question today to our expert, Chris, and that is, what's the purpose of Rotary's action plan?
Thank you, Tom, and great to see all of you. So the purpose of the Rotary's action plan is really to help all of us, help our clubs, help our members. The world today is not the same as when it was when Rotary began in 1905. I think we all know that. Our demographics have shifted, the pace of change has accelerated, and technology has certainly created new opportunities for connection and for service. What hasn't changed, though, is a need for the values that define our organization, that define Rotary. Fellowship, integrity, diversity, service, and leadership. The action plan is not meant to help evolve Rotary, evolve our organization, to not only keep us relevant, but more so to keep us thriving. It is a strategic roadmap that will help us better connect with each other, grow as an organization, and more effectively share our stories of how we are making a difference in our communities or all around the world.
Thank you, Chris. Now the next question is actually for Megan. What makes an action plan so transformational?
Thank you, Tom. Also nice to be here with you all today. I think there are transformational components to each of the priorities of the action plan that we've already discussed this afternoon. So our research shows that our prospective and current members, donors, and partners are looking to support and be part of organizations that clearly show the measurable impact in their work. So it's really critical that we leverage the legacy of the work that we've done at Pulliam and improve our ability to measure the outcomes of projects. Expanding our reach is not only about growth of the organization, but intentional and thoughtful growth of both members and participants, of new and diverse audiences, and in building understanding of our impact and brand. Our research also identified that enhancing participant engagement is the #1 priority for our members. We know that overall, we lose about the same number of members that we gain every year. And those that have unsatisfactory experiences are likely to share those, which can be harmful to our brand. So we really need to meet people that engage with us where they are at, with the most meaningful experiences for them, if we want to retain our members and broaden participation in Rotary as a whole. And we need to be able to adapt. We all know change can be a little bit slow at Rotary, and sometimes that's a function of our strengths. We offer a lot of leadership opportunities, which result in leadership turnover, and we need to continuously educate and new goals and consider new things, but that doesn't mean there aren't many ways that we can innovate, we can take risks, that we can be more nimble, and that we can bring more diverse perspectives to the table when we're making decisions.
Now we have a question for the audience. Who here is part of Chris's team as an action plan champion? Please stand up. Oh, I love it. Another person who should be up here. So what did you say?
It should be all of us.
It should be all of us. It should be all of us. And you are, because you're here, and I appreciate you all being here.
What does mean at all?
I'm sorry?
What does mean at all, that action plan champion? I cannot understand this phrase.
Yes. So Chris, before we take the next question, can you tell us about the structure of the action plan champions, and who are they?
Thank you, Tom. It's a great question. We were going to cover that later, but I think it's relevant to discuss it now.
It's so important, we're going to do it twice.
So, as you heard, the Action Plan Initiative, actually, our action plan was adopted several years ago. And we are taking the opportunity at this point to try to elevate the awareness of the action plan around the world. So a new action plan initiative was actually started this year under the leadership of our President-elect Stephanie Yurchik and her aide Tom, to really try to educate our clubs and help them understand how the action plan, which is our strategic plan of Rotary International, can help our clubs to grow, to thrive, to increase their impact so that we can have more lasting change around the world. So as part of that action plan initiative, we have started by identifying an action plan champion at the zone or regional level. And those areas are the areas that every district is part of a zone. Every district is part of a region. So at that zone and regional level, we have identified action plan champions who will be working with all of the districts in their area. So Andrea, for example, is an action plan champion from zone 29. And she is working with all of the districts in zone 29 to identify an action plan champion at the district level. And you say, well, who is that person at the district level? We're really asking each of the district leadership teams to identify who they would like that action plan champion to be. Maybe it's their district membership chair. Maybe the district governor themselves wants to be the action plan champion. And then they will in turn serve as a resource for our Rotary Club leaders. And we would love for every Rotary Club to at least have one person in the club who becomes very familiar with the 4 strategic priorities of our action plan and becomes an action plan for the Rotary Club. But I would say to you that I would love for all of you to join me and you be an action plan champion to help your club to not only do better, but to thrive so that we can grow Rotary and increase our impact.
And Chris, if some of our audience actually wants to become the official action plan champion for their club or district, who would they talk to?
Probably the best place to start would be with your district leadership team, maybe your district governor-elect or your district membership chair. But also encourage you, if you want to reach out to me, I think we have our contact information at the end of the slideshow today, and I can certainly help connect you with the right person who can get you the answers for the area that you're in. But don't be afraid to step up and be an action plan champion yourself, because the more the merrier.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, Megan, this is another question for you. How often does Rotary review its strategy? When's the last time we've done it, and when's the next time we'll do it?
Great question, thanks, Tom. So the Strategic Planning Committee is always looking at better ways to implement and communicate the action plan, and so that happens every year. But we do a more thorough review and evaluation every 5 years to ensure that the plan is still aligned with our participants' needs and their hopes for the future, and to understand what has changed in the world since the last review that might affect what is necessary for Rotary to thrive in the future. So the last time we did this was the largest research effort was in 2017, resulting in the launch of the action plan in 2019. because we operate on a 5-year cycle, we are now coming up on the end of that first 5-year cycle, and the next one will begin this next Rotary year. The evaluation includes surveys of different constituent groups, similar to the research Tom mentioned earlier. That includes members, other participants, and the general public. We also do focus groups around the world to get some of that more in-depth and qualitative information from clubs about what they're experiencing in different regions. So after all that information is analyzed, the committee determines if any changes should be recommended regarding the plan, and those are presented to both of our boards. They also use this research throughout the strategic planning cycle to keep finding new and better ways to share the value of the plan and to help clubs find meaningful ways to use it.
Yeah. So Megan, as we go around and we speak to our districts and we speak at PETS, often it's the first time that people have heard of the strategic plan. So is it being used currently by the board of directors and the board of trustees?
It is currently being used by the board of directors and the board of trustees. It is something they are passionate about and something that they use to guide their decision making and their prioritization of their efforts, and it's something that is discussed at all of their meetings.
Yeah. So we need all of your help to go take this information, take it back to your district, take it back to your clubs. I know a few of you in here, and I know that you're in charge of your pets and you're in charge of your districts. So we could really use your help in taking this information back. So, another question for Megan. How does the action plan connect with what John Hugo told us this morning, that's our CEO, the most important thing in Rotary right now for membership, and that's the club experience?
So I'm actually going to turn that one over to
Thank you.
So you heard our CEO this morning, John Hugo, mention about the club experience, and really that's the key to keeping our members engaged. So Rotary has done research, continues to do research, and recent research has confirmed that the single most important factor in membership satisfaction is the club experience. And there are really about 5 components that make up what that club experience is. The first being meeting enjoyment. That just has to do your members enjoy your meetings? Do they attend? Do they look forward to attending? Is the venue where you meet? Is it a decent place? Do people enjoy the fellowship? The meeting enjoyment is really a very important part of membership satisfaction. As is confidence in club leadership. Do your members look up to the club leaders? And more importantly, is the club leadership providing their members a voice? Do you as a member of your Rotary Club have the opportunity to share your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions? It's very important that our club leaders are listening to our members. Another is personal growth opportunities. I know when I joined Rotary as a very young banker in my early 20s, I was looking for an opportunity to grow professionally and grow personally. And a lot of our younger people that are joining Rotary are looking for that. So we need to make sure we're delivering on that expectation. Another is connections. People do join Rotary because they want to make those connections. They want to meet people. They want to learn from each other. They want to experience more in their community by meeting people that are from different areas, different businesses, different backgrounds, different careers. And the last, but certainly not least, is meaningful service. You heard Tom mention we're a membership organization that does service. A lot of our members join Rotary because they want to do service. And that might be doing service within the club. That might mean doing service in your local community with community projects. That also might mean you have people who are really passionate about international service. So are you providing those opportunities? So it's really important as a club leader that we're looking at, are we delivering on those components of the membership satisfaction? I would also say that the 4 strategic priorities of our Rotary Action Plan really directly connect to enhancing the 5 areas that make up the club experience. So when you think about enhancing participant engagement, right, that could mean personal and professional growth opportunities. When you think about increasing our impact, that really can speak to the service, and if we're providing those service opportunities. And I know we've all went through the pandemic over the last few years, and we weren't doing maybe as many service activities that we used to do. So it's really an opportunity to take another look at what are we doing in our community? What are we doing internationally? Can we partner with other clubs? Can we partner with other organizations to really have a lasting impact by providing service opportunities?
Wonderful. Now, I know when I was walking in here today, there were a bunch of district and club membership chairs. Who here is a district or club membership chair? Okay. Did that all make sense to you, what Chris was saying about what we need to do in our clubs? Absolutely. Well, we want you to understand the action plan. We want to demystify it. We want to make sure that you understand it with these concrete examples so you can use it in your districts and you can use it in your clubs. So stop us anytime if you have any questions. So next question is for Megan. They have a slide and then they have the next slide, and somehow I have to figure out which number goes with, which person goes with each slide. Megan, why should clubs prioritize the strategic plan?
So just as you think of a map helping guide you from one place to your destination, strategic plans are what help guide organizations toward their goals and their strategic vision. So our action plan, which is our long-term guide to our vision of uniting people to take action to create lasting change, was developed from what you and your fellow members want Rotary to be. And that can be the same in the club. Strategic planning helps clubs move toward what members want from their Rotary experience. It helps them acknowledge the challenges that they're facing and address those underlying causes of those issues. So our research shows that clubs that develop and follow strategic plans are stronger than those that don't, and have members that are more satisfied and view their club and Rotary more positively. So one helpful resource that I can share with you is our strategic planning guide, which is available on the action plan page on my Rotary and was just recently revamped to be really for the club to develop a strategic plan in the framework of the action plan and help you set those long-term priorities within that framework.
Thank you, Megan. So Rotary has the strategic plan that we call the action plan. Do the districts need their own strategic plan, and do the clubs need their own strategic plan?
Yes, we highly encourage clubs to have a strategic plan that is aligned with the action plan, but also takes into account their own context. Each club is different. Each club has different challenges and strengths and different local contexts and regional contexts, and that has to be taken into account for those plans to be successful. Districts can also have strategic plans, but we look for districts to spend some of that time really working mostly with clubs to develop their strategic plans and to provide that guidance, because that's really where Rotary happens in the club.
Wonderful. So how many of you have strategic plans at your club or in your districts? Great, great. Now, Jill Petrozinski, if someone didn't raise their hand and they don't have a strategic plan, what would you recommend they do?
Well, they need to get one, Tom. But they need to also know it's not just up to them, that there are resources available. It was mentioned the action plan webpage on My Rotary, which you don't even have to log in with your My Rotary account, can help you prioritize. And there's also an assessment that the club can take, and I'm going to go blank on the web address, where they can have a customized learning plan based on their challenges and their opportunities. So don't try to do it alone, would be my advice. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention some ancillary programs that are outside of Rotary International. Some of our districts are engaged in something called club visioning. If they need additional assistance, there are programs available.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. So the great thing about Megan's department, they have got so many tools that we can use, but sometimes in Rotary we have great tools, same with membership, but we don't get them out there. And at the end we'll tell you about the tools, but one of the tools they have on their website is they have these videos. So we want to play a video for you now about impact, which is the first strategic plan priority, and then we'll have a question for our panelists. Thank you.
Real impact is growth and change that's sustainable long after we have left the scene. As Rotary, how will we do it? We are encouraging clubs to focus their efforts on a few key areas rather than trying to do too many projects. Think about ways you can build on your community's key strengths, do some smart risk taking, and look for areas where targeted, concentrated work can create a cascade of change. We're creating a culture of measurement in Rotary by measuring, tracking, and analyzing what we do. By using data and metrics, we can be smarter about what we need to continue doing, start doing, and stop doing. We all know the importance of data in our professional lives and how essential it's been to our progress in polio eradication. But it's also essential to the future of Rotary. Major funding agencies demand evidence and proof of impact. Young people, the future of Rotary, have grown up asking institutions and organizations for greater accountability and transparency. That's why Rotary is identifying consistent best practices for assessment and measurement. Rotary's action plan. What will our legacy be?
So, Chris, we hear all these when we go to these sessions. We hear a lot about outcomes, we hear about outputs, and we know that impact's the important one. But can you tell us a little bit about what impact is and what we can do at the club level to achieve impact?
Thank you, Tom. So, as you saw in the video, one of the great things that help us, I think, sort of understand our ability to increase our impact is looking at the work that we've done with polio eradication. Yes, Rotary took on this challenge in the mid-'80s, but we did it along with very strategic partnerships with the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and the Gates Foundation. I think it's a perfect example to look at a smaller scale in our own club, in our own communities, to the ability of developing strategic partnerships, relationships with nonprofits in your community, maybe other Rotary clubs. And if we develop those strong working relationships, we can work together to do more impactful projects, impactful service, and in a way that we can measure the outcomes of the service projects that we're doing so that we really know that we're having lasting impact. And one of the ways that we can do that, we've talked several times already this afternoon about the action plan webpage on Rotary International. And there are a number of resources available to you there. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But one of them that is available to you is a community assessment tool. And this is really a guide for you to do a community assessment in your community, which allows you to bring in different people from your Rotary Club, community leaders, other organizations, and look at what truly are the needs in my community right now. Is your Rotary Club doing the same service project every year for the last 20 years because you always do it? Is it really creating a lasting impact in your community? Maybe ask the community what they really feel the needs are. Maybe that's an opportunity to stop doing something you're currently doing and take on something new that really is going to have a lasting impact in your community. So it's an opportunity to review what we're doing, look at new ways to do things in our community, things that are really going to allow us to have lasting change. And I would say to you, it's also an opportunity in that same context of looking at new projects to look at maybe applying for a district grant or a global grant to utilize those resources to help you do a project locally or even globally.
Well, thank you, Chris. Well, you know, when I was listening to John Hugo talk today about we have to form new clubs to have impact, I was thinking of a particular club who actually is represented here in the audience today. So I'm going to ask Melanie DeLuca to come up and tell us about the Global Travelers and what they're doing to have impact in a new club.
Okay, my friend Tom did not warn me, so I'll do my very best. So I'm a long-term vegetarian, and Tom actually challenged me, saying we need new types of Rotary clubs, and how about you form a new club? So anyway, when your friends ask, you try to do your best, right? And so what we ended up with was not exactly what Tom wanted, but it's been very successful. And that is we decided we've got people that the current model of Rotary is not working for. If you're in a community that doesn't have Rotary, or your time of day that Rotary Club meets doesn't work for your work schedule, or it's too expensive and you can't afford that Rotary Club, or you're mobile for work or for your lifestyle and you're not in one place, well then maybe Rotary isn't something you can participate in. So we gathered a number of people that were in that place. And we said, let's form a new club. And so our club is formed around global service, building goodwill and better friendships, and travel. So we're called Global Travelers. We started with 20 people. We're 3 years old, and we have now 58 members. I might have gotten 2 in this conference that are joining. And we started a brand new type of membership because Rotary said we could be flexible. And so we started associate members because we had Rotarians who said, but I want to participate in your grants and your global work, but I like my community-based club, but how could I still hang out with your club? And we said, well, if one Rotary club is good, 2 is better. So come ahead and join. And they pay a small fee. They belong to Rotary through their home club, but they belong to us in their hearts. And they participate fully in our club. So we're up to 118, I believe, between full members and regular members, and we started with 23 years ago. And we're getting all kinds of new ideas from people we meet, and we're going to incorporate those into our, we haven't done a strategic plan because we've been growing too fast, but we're going to do that this year. I'll be president-elect next year. So again, we're kind of the new face of Rotary. We have meetings, we have speakers, we do grant projects, we do all the things of a regular Rotary Club, but we do it in a new way. And it's been just a very exciting journey, and we're excited to see where it takes us.
Thank you, Melanie. Yeah. Yes. So they've been to They've been to Vietnam, they've been to Cambodia, they just got back from Egypt. So whatever you want to do, you can do it. So now we're going to play you a video about reach.
At Rotary, we're committed to making people feel welcome and at home in our clubs, programs, and within our culture. As an organization that is creating stronger communities worldwide with members in all corners of the globe, Rotary has a responsibility to lead the way. We are exploring and evaluating new participant models so that people can join and take action with us in more convenient ways. We are bringing in outside help, collaborating with local experts on diversity, equity, and inclusion training. It's a great way to forge new kinds of partnerships. And we are being more intentional about giving all members meaningful ways to connect, including them in club planning and decision-making, and valuing their contributions. We believe that bringing people together to share different backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences helps us unlock potential and discover new solutions. Now, let's make good on that promise. Let's share our values with new audiences, create new ways to bring people together, and prove we are an organization that's inclusive, engaging, compassionate, and ambitious. Rotary's Action Plan. How can we inspire more people to connect and take action with us?
So Megan, we were told by President Gordon today that things happen at the club level. Everything's done at the club level. What then can the clubs do to expand their reach?
Great question, yes. There are a lot of ways that clubs can think about expanding their reach, but a few ideas would be to set a goal to collaborate with new groups in your community. Maybe that's through a service project or a social event. But seeking out new community partners are a great way to introduce new people to your club, and to particularly groups that may be underrepresented in the club, and to bring more hands into the great work that the club is doing. Also, you heard Chris mention the community assessment tools earlier in terms of service projects. Rotary also has a wealth of membership tools and resources that can help you assess your club, really ask your members what they're looking for, ask prospective members what they might be looking for in their Rotary experience. And that can help you learn how to make your club more diverse, open, and attractive more broadly to your community. You can also tell compelling stories about how your club is making a difference. You can use materials on the Brand Center to show your club's impact in different community channels, different media channels. But strengthening your public image helps you attract like-minded people to your club, form those new partnerships I was mentioning, and really build a stronger and more diverse network of collaborators that you can tap into as your club goes through its activities every year.
Great. Now, Roger from Wisconsin, rumor has it that your district is reaching out to the indigenous people in your area. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I give you credit for surprising me. What we found in Wisconsin is that the political connotations of diversity, equity, and inclusion present a bit of a challenge. If you read the statement on diversity, it is simply be kind, be good, but to avoid injection of tolerance. We started what we call a cultural appreciation initiative, and we're beginning this with an outreach to our indigenous population. And the idea was really triggered at Melbourne, where they started every session at last year's conference with the land acknowledgement statement. Every Rotary club in the state of Wisconsin meets on land formerly occupied by American Indians. And by reaching out and inviting our indigenous population to come and share what it is like to be a native in Wisconsin, we'll begin a communications that I believe can help restore civility to our civic discourse, and Rotary can play a role. In the United States, the missing ingredient in civic discourse is civility. And I believe the greatest challenge we can accept in Rotary is to restore that. After we develop relationships and build goodwill and better friendship with our Native American community, we will reach out to Southeast Asians, Hispanics, Blacks. And by modeling how Rotary can be a place where important discussions can be held with respect and dignity, we can move into other categories of those underrepresented in Rotary and make them feel respected and welcome. Cultural Appreciation Initiative is just remarketing in a less controversial way, and the response is overwhelmingly positive. So,
thank you, DG Roger. So Megan, is that what we're talking about when we're talking about? Yep.
Yeah, that's a great example of reach.
And then the other thing we could do is start new clubs. That would be under this priority. So PDG Randall from Vermont, you started a few clubs when you were district governor, I believe. Can you go to the microphone and quickly tell us about those? We need real life examples that our clubs could model when they go home.
We started a DEI Rotaract club, where we were primarily picking up people who had joined Rotary and then quit, and they were in the right sort of age range. And we found those in our local community. We knew who'd left, and we brought them in. The other club we set up was a youth exchange alumni cause-based club. And the real question is, where do you find these people? Well, we have data recently, but these people all self-select, and that you can find their names on the Rotary website. Diane, what's the name of the report? What's the name of the report?
Yeah, a district membership report that everybody who's participated in the district program back.
So let me repeat that. There's a report on Rotary that gives you the names of everybody who's self-selected in your district to say if they were part of a Rotary program. So if you're looking for GSX, you're looking for youth exchange, you're looking for host parents, that report can give you that list. And so we said, let's find out how many youth exchange people we have in our district. We found 120 in that report. 30 of them responded, and 20 are now members of that club. And we did it as a Rotaract club. So cause-based Rotaract clubs are extremely useful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I'm glad you answered that question, because I see Taylor Huey in the audience, who's on our membership committee and is the assistant chair of our membership committee. She was telling me the other day that that's the question they always get when they say starting new clubs. They say, where do we find our members? So thank you for that. So we're going to play you another video about engagement.
We want everyone who connects and stay connected. We enhance participant engagement when we meet people where they are. It means being proactive, finding out what matters to them and how they want to be engaged. That's how we become a participant-centered organization. Participants encompasses all Rotary members and all others who engage in Rotary activities, like family members, partners, alumni, and others from the community. So how do we become more participant-focused? 2 words: listen and respond. Ask participants if Rotary is meeting their expectations, how they are hoping to connect and grow through Rotary, what new skills or experiences they want to gain, and how they would like to contribute to creating change in the world. What kinds of products interest people, and what your community would like to see from Rotary. Then listen to what they say and make delivering on those expectations a priority and the club's goal. That's how we make sure people feel seen, valued, and heard. Because when we do, people will join Rotary and stay, so we can do even more real and lasting good in the world. Rotary's action plan. What would improve the Rotary experience?
So Chris, we heard our General Secretary today talk about if we make our members happy, they're happy, they stay, they invite their friends and family. If we don't, they leave. And sometimes they don't say nice things about us because they didn't have a good experience. So explain how we listen to our members. The video said to listen to our members. How do we do that?
Great question, Tom. Well, in the video, one of the key takeaways I had was, are we listening to our members? And I would ask you to think about a few things. When we bring someone into Rotary, when we bring someone into our Rotary Club, are we educating them about the organization before we invite them to join? When people join an organization like Rotary, they're taking personal time away from something else they might be doing, and it is costing them money. And they want to know what's in it for me. And everybody who joins our organization, just like our clubs are autonomous, all of our members are different. And each person has something different that they expect to get out of their membership with Rotary. So it's really important that we take the time to educate them about the organization, and when they do join us, what is it that they would like to do? What are they passionate about? What projects are they interested in being involved with? Is there a specific committee? You know, maybe it's somebody who's is in fundraising for a living. Maybe they want to help raise money for the Rotary Foundation. But we don't know that until we ask the question. So it's really important to listen to our members and do that early on when they join the club. And in that regard, I'd like to ask, do any of you have a mentorship program in your club where you have a mentor that's assigned to your new members? Wonderful. Would somebody like to share briefly how the program works?
I'd be happy to.
Well, 1 second, check. Be right back. Yes, where you are, where you're from. And
I'm from India.
And tell us about your
I want to speak
mentorship.
about the engagement of Rotary and engagement of Rotary family. Thank you. Thank you. See, we are talking all about engagement nowadays. How to improve engagement of Rotarian, Rotary family, community, beneficiaries of our service project, and participants of all events of Rotary, maybe a non-Rotary. So club can design, and talking specifically to the clubs, because the question is, what can clubs do to achieve this? Number one, club should showcase its service projects to all community. Once they showcase their projects, definitely will attract members. Number two, community engagement. This is a basic issue. We are Rotarians, we say that we are a unite group of people. We don't mix up with community, we don't go to the community, we don't care beneficiaries, we don't measure, impact our service project to the community people. So we need to involve beneficiaries and non-Rotarian community in our campaign of membership development. We need to engage Rotary family in membership development program. So family involvement, in India, I proudly say, whenever there is a Rotary family involvement, that club is effective, vibrant, and getting sustainable members, and they try to retain 100%.
Perfect.
So, basic issue is engagement. Engagement of everyone in the community. Maybe it's other organizations. Try to share with them your service projects, your values, your 170, 80 years history. Then definitely you will get more members. Definitely
Perfect.
all members of Rotary will be engaged in Rotary activity. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Engagement, mentorship, that's wonderful.
I would also like to add with regard to the mentorship concept. Another thing that you can think about doing is if you bring in a new member that maybe is a young professional that's an attorney. Maybe you have an attorney who's been in the club for a while, is more established in the community, can be a mentor to that young attorney. So it could be a career development opportunity. We mentioned earlier, people are looking for personal, professional development opportunities. The other thing I think it's important with engagement is, are we regularly asking our members for feedback? Are we doing a regular survey, a membership satisfaction survey? This is another tool that is available to you with the resources on our Rotary website. And I would encourage you to do it on a regular basis. Make it an annual activity that you do by surveying your members, the tools available for you. If you can do it autonomously, I highly recommend that, so everybody feels that they can give honest feedback. And then it's really important that you share the results of the survey with the entire membership. And clearly, if there are items within the survey that identify your members are looking for change, you need to act on it. Because they're trying to tell you something. We're giving them a voice, they're telling us what they think, we need to act on that. Maybe your club members think your meeting is too long. My home club, we used to meet for an hour and a half, now we meet for an hour. Our younger members are taking on leadership roles. They can't step away from their work as long as we used to. But I'm thrilled that we're listening to them and we're making changes, because then they stay in our organization. And the last thing I want to mention is just a really unique story. You heard CEO John Hugo talk this morning, our General Secretary, in the plenary session about the Brew Fellowship. And we got a nice laugh out of everybody, right? Years Rotarians enjoy worldwide, the Brew Fellowship. And they do fundraisers and they give a lot of their money to the Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Rotary Action Group. Well, I have another great story about those opportunities that we provide for our members to connect with like-minded people. There was a member of the Rotary Club of Rotary E Club of Bavaria International, which happens to be in Germany. And he was a fan of metal music. And he never put a connection between his love for metal music and being a member of his Rotary Club, until he saw somebody post on Facebook, another Rotary member posted on Facebook about attending the Wacken Open Air, which is one of the largest metal festivals in the world, and that other Rotarians were attending this. So he took that opportunity to organize a meetup at the next festival, and 23 Rotary members came to this meetup. And that was when the Rotarian Metalhead Fellowship was born. These are all members of our organization that are fans of metal music. Today they have over 160 members from 23 countries, and they've just written their first song about Rotary Metalhead lovers. And what I really love about it is they do fundraisers and they donate money to the Rotary Foundation, and they also have started the Wacken Open Air Foundation, where they raise money for scholarships for young people who want to study metal or rock music. So this is just an example of providing our members an opportunity to connect in a different way with Rotary, with something they're passionate about or something they love to do. We have a motorcycle fellowship, we have a wine fellowship, we have a yachting fellowship. And you don't even have to own a boat to be a member of the yachting fellowship. Just you have to be interested in boating. But I mentioned those things because I think it's an opportunity for us to think outside the box, if you will, about ways to engage our members in a different way than maybe we're doing now. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Chris. I just love those examples. And I love the example of using an attorney. That's DEI if we take attorneys, right? As a recovering attorney, I can say If Paul Harris was an attorney, would we have more Rotarians now? Yes. So our friend from India was mentioning showcasing our projects. So this is a question for Michelle Berg, our deputy counsel, our deputy. Can you tell us about, people come to the International Convention because they want to get the scoop on everything so they can take it back. They want to be able to tell them about the news that no one else has heard about. Can you tell us about Rotary Showcase? Because I heard that's going to be updated and how we can do that in the future.
Just surprise people. Rotary Showcase has been used by many Rotarians to showcase their projects and the impact that they're having in their community. And we are taking that platform and improving it and launching a new opportunity for you to share your service work with fellow Rotarians and also with the public. So that service center is being launched in this next Rotary year. I actually don't know the timing of it, so I'll have to get back to you on that. But it's a new and improved way for you to share your service opportunities with others.
Great. Thank you so much. So one last point before we move on. Chuck, you want to tell us about mentoring in your district?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Do I need a mic?
Sure.
Can you all hear me now? This is not so much in our district as it is in our club. Now, we're trying to encourage other clubs to do this. But when a new person joins the Leeward USA Rotary Club, they are assigned a mentor, and there is a checklist, not only for the mentee to do, but also for the mentor to do as well, to ensure that they are appropriately doing the things that would bring the new member in, get them engaged more. What are some of the things in the checklist? They include things, and y'all do those, I'm sure. Being a greeter, being a, attending a club board meeting, because most clubs, their board meetings are open to all members, and participating in a service project, encouraging a friend to join, and not only, I mentioned participating in a service project, but also taking something that you're passionate with and approach the club to be able to convert that into a service project as well. If you would like to see what this mentee checklist is like, I encourage you to go to Rotary District 5710 website and go click on the membership tab under Club Membership Resources. You'll see it there. You can click on it. So that's
Thank
what
you,
we
Chuck.
do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Chuck is Assistant Rotary Coordinator, and we have one more question.
May I make an observation?
Yes.
Can I take that? As we are on the topic of mentors, just want to share an observation. So, when we came from Rotary Club of Singapore, but I've been a member of it for 4 years and I was in India, so I have seen two clubs. When it comes to mentorship, I have observed, so I'm a personal development professional, I have observed ageism and reverse ageism show up a lot. Okay? So when we have younger members joining, we see a lot of talking down, maybe a lot of experiences being shared, but that is reverse ageism, and somehow it sort of drives away young people because they don't like being talked down. So something I just wanted to bring up at the point of when we are talking about mentorship. I think the core is to accept everyone as creative, resourceful, and when they join, they bring in a lot. So how can we make them feel that it's a safe space for them to really share and show up fully rather than talk about it? Just share.
Well, thank you very much for bringing up that issue. We have a regional membership officer at Rotary International who recently gave me a statement of a woman who had been a Rotarian for 30 years, and what she experienced was very similar to that. And Chris, this question's for you. How do we address in our surveys how our people feel so they feel they belong and they're not being discriminated against?
Breakout, I mentioned the membership satisfaction survey, which exists available to you on the Rotary website. But there's also an opportunity to create your own questions for your members. And because all of our communities are different, I think it's really important that you're asking the member, what do they want to get out of Rotary? And you ask them questions, do they feel included? Chuck mentioned being a greeter at your club. How many of you have someone that is greeting your members when they walk into the door? How many of you are not doing that? Because that speaks to your club being welcoming and inclusive. And I remember when I was a new member of the club, and I didn't know a lot of people. And you walk into a room of strangers, and if you don't feel overly confident, it can be awkward for people, and they might not feel included. They might not feel they belong. So we really need to go out of our way to make sure we're asking our members if they feel included, they feel belong, if they have a voice in what the decision that the club is making.
Hello, good afternoon, Rotarians. My name is Sunjoy Sen. I am from Rotary Club of Kolkata Benevolence, District 3291. I would just like to share that we had started the year with 34 members and right now we are 65 members. Big reason is RBF, which is Rotary Means Business Fellowship. It's a very thriving community in Calcutta, and we have been able to increase not just our own membership but other clubs as well, and that is where exposure, like members get an exposure to network with members from all the clubs in the regions, and hence I would invite all of you to please come and visit the stall that we have at the House of Friendship. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have another audience question coming up.
Good afternoon. I'm past Mr. Governor Manzoor Massey from California, District 5330. This room is full of such brilliant people, and a lot of good ideas have been shared, and I hope we can implement those ideas. And I want to share a couple of things. Rotary is doing something special for every age in the community. We have early act clubs, Pride Club, Ryla Club, Rotaractors, Exchange, Youth Exchange. What about the parents of all these people? We do not interact with them, we do not call them to be part of our. So ask is our biggest challenge. We don't ask. Because all these parents at every age, they are so delighted and they say, oh, we're so glad our child went to Ryla. They came back so excited. They said it's like a new life. But we never approach their parents. That's one idea that I think we could really have many people join Rotary. Number two, all the projects that we fund in the community, many times we are giving resources, we are volunteering with them, but we never ask those organizations to be part of us. The third idea I want to give is, if Rotary is good for me, I don't want it to die in my family when I kick the bucket. If we really believe that we love Rotary, what about our family members? What about the businesses we run? What about the people we do business with? And so I share with my group, shake your family tree and your friendship tree and your community, people you do business with. The fourth point I want to mention is, Rotary does not grow, or your club does not grow because you are wonderful during the meeting. It grows what we do during the week. What fellowship are we doing with one another? And the last point I would make is that see every member every week as though you have not seen them for a year, with such excitement that they are so happy that they are welcomed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. So Megan, would parents be participants under the action plan?
Absolutely. Anyone that engages in the Rotary experience is considered a Rotary participant.
And then when John Hugo was talking about partnerships, would that fit under the action plan as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Chris, do you have anything about shaking the trees for our neighbors and families, getting excited, or kicking the bucket? Following up on Mashur's points, how does shaking the trees, going to the people we worship with and work with and our families, friends, neighbors, how does that impact and how do we get people excited?
He said it.
Okay.
Get your ass in here.
Okay. Get your ass in gear. Ask.
Get your ass in gear. When I was membership chair of our district years ago, we made these big T-shirts that everybody wore. Get your ass in gear. But he makes such a great point because we have youth exchange students. Are we inviting their parents to be involved? We have RILE students. Are we asking their parents to be involved? We do partnerships. Lots of times we do service projects with the organizations. Are we inviting them? You have speakers come to your club. Are you inviting your speakers to learn more about Rotary? When we're living our daily, when we're doing our daily activities, living our lives, we're going to work, we're going to the doctor's office, we're going to the bank, we're going to the dry cleaners. Every time you interact with somebody you know who's not a member of your Rotary Club, do you think about why aren't they? Have they been invited to learn more? I think a lot of us just aren't thinking about it every day when we're going about our lives. How many of you in the room have sponsored a new member to Rotary within the last 12 months? How many of you have not? Do you know somebody that you could invite? I would ask you to think about it. Stephanie Yurchik has given a challenge to the entire board of directors that between now and when we have our board meeting in October, we all have to bring in at least one new member, herself included. And no question, she will do it, probably more than one.
She's not a member of Rotary? Chris, you talked about surveys. How often should a club or district survey?
Do a survey?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's really up to the club to determine because all our clubs are different. But in my opinion, no less than once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because probably all of our clubs have new members coming in throughout the year. We probably lose some members throughout the year. So if we're doing it at least on an annual basis to provide everyone an opportunity to give their feedback and sharing that feedback with them, I think that will go a long way. And you know, you probably heard over the years people talking about doing an exit survey, right? Somebody decides they're going to resign from Rotary, so we do an exit survey to find out why. Why aren't we surveying them when they're in the club versus when they decide to leave? Because then we're really probably not going to find out why they really left. But if we're asking them when they're a member to give their feedback, because maybe they're not getting out of it what they expected, we can try to engage with them and provide an opportunity for them to stay in Rotary.
And Bokar, can you please make it to the microphone because we have a question for you in a minute when you get there. So Chris, are we doing the survey because the culture is changing, because new people are coming in and other people are leaving? So it wouldn't be the same, the survey today would be different, the answers would be different than they would be a year from now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think, you know, all of our communities are evolving, our Rotary clubs are evolving, new people are coming in, people are leaving, so hopefully we have a diverse membership. I would ask you to look at your membership of your club. Are you diverse? Do you represent the community that you live in? Because that again is an opportunity, because we want our clubs to be representative of our community.
Bokar, we had the question and the advice from Mashur Butt that we should get our people excited. Rumor has it that your club just did something that excited the whole community. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, well, thank you very much. I think, like everyone said, Tom is pretty good at surprising people. But Tom, we have done, I think what we've done, we have initiated a brand new bike ride. It's the first time we got a bike ride, and we have raised, it was amazing. We really showed the community, the sponsors, everybody showed up and did what they said they would. We raised a lot of money. Now I can talking about the action plan. From the first question, I can see we can double the impact to the local grant. We have started actually collaborating with the other club in our district to do more things that would be sustainable and really tangible. Yes, we have done something phenomenal, and everybody's really excited, energized, and they want to take it to the next level every year.
So that's a great example of what you were talking about, try something new. They tried a bike ride for their community. They invited the mayor, and a lot of them were Rotarians, and they raised a lot of money and did a lot of good in the community. Thank you, Bokar. So we're going to play a video about, oh, yes, question?
Thank you so much. I'm Arundhati from District 340, the district chair of DEI. My question is, what strategy do you have when the club members themselves become blocks to new membership? When I was the president, I wanted to train up 10 people. I managed to induct only 6. In spite of 4 names being cleared by my board 3 times, in spite of the 4 adhering to all the norms of the town, I was showcased for inducting eminent citizens of my city. And now I've made it to the district chair of DEI. I'd like to ask you what strategy you have when members themselves become blocks to new membership.
Okay. So that's a question we get a lot, right? We hear it at our pets, we hear it at our institutes, we hear it at our clubs. Who has a succinct answer to that question? A real life example of how you solve that issue? Because DEI is answered differently in different areas of the world.
New clubs.
New clubs.
Or adjacent clubs to the area that might be next to your club. They might be looking for new members. They might be accepting someone.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Randall. Chuck?
Service champion clubs.
Service champion
that
clubs.
are like a satellite.
You know, it's interesting when we talk about clubs around the world, different areas want to start new clubs, other clubs don't want to change. If you go to Thailand, they'll tell you we respect our elders. We cannot change the club. You go to Vietnam, it's change, change, change. But I like your answer, Rando, because just my experience, when I was district governor, we started 8 new clubs. And it's interesting, we don't keep data on race at Rotary International for privacy reasons. It's an Illinois corporation. But we do keep gender data. And one of our goals is we wanted to increase female membership. And we went from 30% to over 32% in 1 year. So our team looked at it, and what we found out is those 8 new clubs, they added those female members. We added a eco club, which is over 50% female. We entered a end human trafficking club, that was over 60% female. And then we had a Network for Empowering Women club, which was almost 70%. So those 3 clubs, they moved the needles. So I do think that is a good strategy. And RI's got a lot of diversity issues that it addresses on its website. That's a whole nother section we can go into. Francesco, do you have an answer to that question? Past RI Director Francesco, in Italy, how do they deal with a member that's causing a lot of other members to leave? Should we get rid of that member? What's the best way to address it?
Membership is going down in Italy. Till so far some years ago, but now it is going well, better. And the problem to have a new member is always present, and it is difficult to convince the old members to have young people in the club. So we do new clubs. We are doing a lot of new clubs, and usually younger clubs that are more active than the other clubs. The old clubs, I think, are slowly going down, and probably they are disappearing now.
Yes,
Dinosaurs
yes.
are the same. But this is our solution.
Thank you.
This is our habit in this moment.
Thank you. It's interesting standing up here because Francesco's got one of the biggest smiles in the whole room. And I think it's because last convention he was in charge of. He's not in charge of this one, so he can relax and enjoy. Yes, sir. Rick?
I have a question. We have a mentorship program. We have a list of things that the new members have to accomplish. What we don't have is the checklist that was mentioned earlier about what are the mentor's responsibilities, and I would love to have an elaboration on that.
Okay. So can you see Chuck after? Because he's got a whole list. And thank you, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
We recently ran the membership satisfaction survey, basically, and presented to the club. We hadn't been surveying properly, and various members made a point about that we hadn't actually been asking. We got about half the members responding, which was very, very positive, and we highlighted about, 10 different areas that needed to be addressed. And in speaking to the members and presenting it to the members, we gave them the opportunity to consider, well, should we actually fold the club, or should we restart the club? Because they said, and made a point, it's easier to start a club than to change a club. We decided we wanted to restart the club, and that's what we're planning to do next year.
Wonderful. Sometimes it's easier to give birth than to raise the dead. Yep. So we're at our last strategic plan priority, and that is adapt. So let's hear what Rotary International has to say about that.
To be leaders in this time of accelerating change, we need to become more agile and responsive to what's relevant to communities. It's a good opportunity for Rotary and for all of us who are proud to be people of action. We can look at how our ability to communicate effectively, share resources, work collaboratively, and make decisions can be challenged by our operations or structures. We're working on streamlining our structure to fix the disconnects between clubs, districts, zones, and headquarters. We're discovering more of what's possible when we work together, not just as a collection of clubs, but a true global network of change makers. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. We can collaborate, partner, and be the place that connects people and organizations to get more accomplished. What can you do? Take a fresh look at your club. Is it time to peel away some of the layers we've added over the years and simplify how you operate? Invite community leaders outside of Rotary to your club board meeting to offer a new perspective. Adaptive is also looking for new ways to collaborate with new partners who share our values and commitment, but who can challenge and help us innovate and grow more. Rotary is embedded and trusted within communities. It's what attracts potential partners who want to work with us. When we embrace opportunities to streamline, imagine, and invigorate, we will see we can stay true to ourselves and stay ahead of change. Rotary's action plan. How can new perspectives strengthen Rotary?
So Megan, I find this to be difficult. You know, we are telling our clubs you need to change, but it's really hard. How many president-elects do we have in the room? President-elects. So I would like to tell all of them they need to be bold, they need to make a change. But it's hard if you're a president-elect. If you had that gala every year, do I really want to be the first president to not have the gala and then lose all the money that we were going to give to causes? It's been said that no one likes change except a baby with a wet diaper. Can you please inspire all of us, especially the president-elects in the room, how is it worth it to make that change and adapt?
I think 100% it is, and I think that those changes across the Rotary world are how Rotary is going to remain relevant and be strong well into the future. And I think that starts at the club level. So I like to think about adapting as not just being ready to react to change that's happening, but being very proactive about seeking out new ideas and new approaches. And a few ways to do that would be to hold innovation forums or brainstorming sessions with your club members and other participants to gather ideas for activities and service projects in the community. We just talked a lot about surveying, which is wonderful, but a survey doesn't do a lot if you get the results and don't do anything with it, right? To really take that feedback, really analyze that feedback, and make change. And so I think another way to do this is to just set aside a small fund to try out some new things. If it doesn't work, you can document what you've learned, and that's still valuable. If it does work, you can really expand on that. You can also review your club roles, processes, and your tasks, and look for ways to be more efficient. I think it's very likely that you'll find things that you can reduce, combine, or eliminate in terms of responsibilities, or you can find new technologies to do things. And that may free up some resources to take on some other new things that people are interested in that you haven't had the resources to previously do. You can also establish a continuity plan. So looking at your club leaders and your district leaders, really asking them to work with those incoming leaders to set some long-term goals, especially for change. It's sometimes hard for change to happen in just 1 year, and we think of our leadership at the club president for 1 year. So if you can work with those incoming leaders, and you can start taking those small steps towards change, but also be working with them towards what you ultimately want to achieve, that really helps to make those efforts cohesive and get people invested in the joint success of that change.
Megan, I think you're so right. Painting that picture and making small changes can make a difference. I remember I was at Pets a few years ago, and we went around and asked all the president-elects, what's the one change you're going to make sure that your club does better? And everyone had great ideas. We got to a gentleman named Troy, who I call Troy the pie guy, because his solution was he was going to have pie for dessert. I mean, that was going to be his big change for the year. Yeah, everyone did laugh. But it's interesting because I ran into Troy a few years later, and I asked him if he got his pie. And he said he did, but he said a strange thing happened. When he changed the dessert, everyone liked the dessert, then other people started coming with changes, potential changes, small and large. They went from a club being resistant to change to one that was being really seeking innovation. They were looking for change. And he ended up, that club was the second largest in his district. So we have a director in the back from Zone 2627, that's West Coast USA, and I'd like him to come to the microphone. This is partly to make up for my bad lawyer joke, and he's a lawyer, but I'd like him to tell us about the success they're having on the West Coast of US because of their innovation. Thanks, Dan.
He's good at surprising people, Dan.
All right, he is good at surprising people, isn't he? I should have kept right on going, right? So you're talking about the success in membership, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, membership's obviously a big issue, right? And we've heard it for years and years and years. We can't seem to... Oops, sorry.
Why don't you grab that one?
Okay.
Thank you, Dan. You're going to want to hear this. This is a great story.
Okay. Membership is obviously a big issue with Rotary, and it's been that way for years and years. How many people are tired of membership being a big issue? Anybody? Yeah, we can't seem to figure it out, can we? So there's been several things that have gone on, and as they say, or as they were talking about in the board meeting the other day, the green grass shoots are starting to come out. And I don't know if that's true or not. But let me tell you what we did, what is happening. I can't really say we did it. What is happening in the Northern California, on the West Coast, in my zones, the first thing that we did, and this comes from zones, actually the Florida and the Caribbean zones, they developed a thing called the Membership Action Plan, which what that really does, it's real simple, but it tells you how many people over a 3-year period have left and how many you've brought. And it's a mindfulness thing. I mean, anybody, it's simple math, but what it really does is bring it to the mind of the club of what the difference is between what you're losing and what you're gaining. And it turns out that Rotary clubs seem to be pretty comfortable with losing 1 or 2 people a year. Well, it's kind of like the slow boil of the frog. You know, the frog never knows that it's getting cooked if you just raise the temperature a little bit. And it seems to be what's happening to our club. So anyway, so the Membership Action Plan, and if you want to know more about it, you can, zones 33 and 34, you can get on their website and find out about it. So that mindfulness and that awareness of where clubs really stand. And then the other thing that we did, and this is pretty simple, but we intentionally put in marketing plans, local, well thought out marketing plans, with the idea, well, it's based on the fact that Rotarians are pretty good people. Do you all agree with that?
Yes.
And what Rotary does is noble work. So maybe what we really need is just more exposure of Rotary to the public. It's maybe that simple. And this is not an original idea, but to put that into place means that they developed a marketing plan, local marketing plan, not necessarily really expensive ones. So with those two things in motion, we're suddenly starting to see some real membership increase. Now, I don't know, it's too early. Thanks, Tom, for asking me to talk about this one. It's too early. But I don't know if it really is going to work or not, but it's, frankly, it's the best light that we've seen for years. And those are not complicated, they're not expensive, they're common sense kind of things. But I think, Rotary's got too complacent. We're the frog that's sitting in the slow boil. And that, frankly, doesn't work.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, we have one more question, and then we have a few wrap-up items. Thanks.
Thank you. Heather, District 9560, Queensland, Australia. It's actually not a question, I do apologise. Last week I attended a volunteer expo in my local community. There was about 40 of us there. I was the only Rotary club, but we were the only club that you had to pay to be a member. There were 39 other volunteer organisations that people could go and do good in their community and not pay a cent. They didn't have to attend any meetings. They could go and do their service, what they wanted to do, and felt good. And this is the thing that we have. We are competing against other volunteer organisations that don't cost any money. And that's a problem I think that we all have, particularly in smaller communities that don't have high-end business people. We're a small community people that are struggling to make ends meet, but people want to volunteer and have to pay for us $260 a month a year. That doesn't sound a lot to some people, but people in our community are struggling to pay their electricity bill. And if they can go and do some volunteer work and not pay a cent, then they feel good about themselves, and that's a problem I think that we all have. Thank you.
The first thing I thought about, and thank you for sharing, was General Secretary John Hugo mentioned this morning about a companion club, which was an opportunity to engage people in the community that don't have to pay dues and they don't have to come to the meetings, but they're still doing service with your Rotary Club. So I think that's an opportunity to connect with people that have that challenge, and maybe eventually they'll come around, because if you're not a member of Rotary, you're not going to be a part of eradicating polio in the world. Just saying.
They don't have to go to meetings.
Vicki Randall says they don't have to go to meetings, they just do the service, and that's what they want. Thank you.
But they pay dues.
They do pay dues. So there's a PDG, Scott Rainey, who used to be in Houston. I believe he's in Austin now. And whenever you went to his seminars and things, he would throw out presents. Well, this is my Scott Rainey move. I love going to the strategic planning committees. It's one of the best committees in RI, and I take all the notes. They have put together, with the help of Chris, this toolbox, and this is the best thing. All the videos that you saw today, they're in this toolbox. If you're ever asked to give a presentation, there's sample PowerPoints. And we will make sure that you get this. And also, there's one more thing. There is a evaluation in the back, in the mobile app, that you can fill out and say if you like this program or not. It's when we're planning things for the Calgary Convention. Now, Lloyd Campbell is a PDG from District 5950, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he's filming this for his podcast. So I would like Lloyd to come up here, and I'd like everyone to give a standing round of ovation for our two panelists who were awesome, and have Lloyd film you. Last word to Chris.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you all for participating. I hope you learned something valuable you can take home today. Just a quick summary, the action plan toolkit you see on the screen is on our Rotary website. Megan and her team have worked really hard to take all of these resources of our Rotary action plan and put them into 3 different levels. Being get your start, being the easiest to implement activities in your club, moving on to a second level and a more advanced level. But one thing I would ask you to do is when you go back to your Rotary Club, take one meeting at your Rotary Club, divide your members into 4 groups, and have each one of those groups talk about one of the 4 strategic priorities of our action plan. You can show the action plan video. We have the 4 different videos of the 4 different strategic priorities, but there's also one video about the whole action plan. Share it with your members. Let them talk amongst themselves about ways that they think you can increase your impact in your community, ways they think that you can enhance participant engagement around your members. Give them some say-so in this and put the action plan to work. Join me in becoming an action plan champion. I would also ask you to consider joining me tomorrow. We are doing an action plan workshop called Meeting Your Club's Potential. It will take place at 3:30 in the Simpor 4913 room. And this is going to be an interactive workshop where you can share and discuss among other members of Rotary from around the world on ways to put the action plan to work in your Rotary Club. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you all. See you soon.